Colorado. Well, that was a very physical contest early on. Stefan Yell taking out tough guy Enrico Ciccone, and then Ciccone retaliates by pitchforking Scott Young on the bench. No call. The physical play must have fired up the Hawks because they're all over the Avalanche. Look at Probert banging around in the crease. Puck comes out, and Ciccone is the trigger man. Chicago takes a 1-0 lead on the goal by Ciccone. Before the period's over, Colorado looking for the equalizer. Mike Ricci dropping the puck for Claude Lemieux. It's rolling. He blows it by Eddie Belfour, but off the goalpost. Second period, Avalanche come out on fire. Valerie Kamensky turns and feeds Lemieux, and he slides it under Eddie Belfour. Third of the playoffs for Claude Lemieux, and we're tied at 1 in Denver. A minute, 15 seconds later, Joe Sakic playing unbelievable hockey, ragging the puck here. All the Hawks are after him. He just walks out into the slot and whips it by Belfour for his 8th of the playoffs. 2-1 Colorado. But under 2 minutes into the third period, Hawks on the power play. Suter flips it to Bernie Nichols. He just grabs it, puts it down across the crease, and Craven there to rip it in. His first of the playoffs, game tied at 2. Then late in the third, Sandis Ozolinsh with a glorious opportunity, but he can't get the backhand up and over Belfour, and Belfour then stones Lemieux as well, and we head to overtime. In overtime, Lemieux sends Valerie Kamensky in alone, goes to the backhand, and it's off the goalpost. Yikes. Then with Chris Simon in the box for high sticking for Colorado, the Hawks press for the winner. Tony Amonte with a beautiful cross-ice pass to Jeremy Roenick. The one-timer is buried, and Chicago wins this one in OT. 3-2 your final score. The loss ending Patrick Waugh's 12-game win streak in overtime, dating back to his days at the Habs, of course. Colorado managed just 2 shots on goal in the first period. Joe Sakic, though, has recorded at least 1 point in all 7 playoff games. JR potted the winner, and he says patience was his virtue on this.
Second-round opponent was the Chicago Blackhawks, a matchup that featured the 2 most celebrated goalies of the 90s. Between them, Patrick Waugh and Ed Belfour had been named the game's top goaltender in 5 of the last 7 seasons.
That series, the toughest part was Eddie Belfour. He was so good. He played so well in that series. He was tough to beat.
In front, wide open. Avalanche off backhander. Another check for Lemieux. And Belfour a huge save.
In Game 1, the 2 All-Stars went save for save in a classic confrontation.
Unbelievable save there by Waugh.
And Ed Belfour stood tall in the Chicago goal.
Stuff it in. And Waugh made 2 saves. Now another save on Daze.
And we're going to sudden death overtime in the first of a best of 7.
The Avalanche made an early bid to end this sudden death showdown.
He's in. Save Eddie Belfour. 16,061 holding it wrapped, and Belfour keeps the game going.
Moments after Kamensky's near miss, Jeremy Roenick found a seam.
Amani Semikin, they score! Jeremy Roenick wins it for Chicago.
Incredibly, Chicago had snapped Patrick Waugh's 12-game playoff overtime win streak and stolen Game 1. But the new
has the Flus and Jeff Hackett in goal, and maybe Eddie knew something. Valerie Kamensky off a Chicago skate into the net, ties the game 1-1. A minute later, on the rebound, Craig Wallinen scores. It's 2-1 Colorado. 50-some seconds later, Joe Sakic unchecked side of the net, score. 3 goals in 2 minutes. 3 minutes later, Uwe Krupp going to pick up the loose puck, score, and it's 4-1 Avalanche. Meanwhile, Patrick Waugh at the other end. Watch the save by Patrick Waugh, sprawling out. Great work. Enrico Ciccone showing just how frustrated he is. Get away from me. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that, you. Yeah, give me that darn thing. Yeah, a bit of a frustrating night for the Blackhawks. A scary night for Stephen King, too. Beat Chicago 5-1, even the series in a game apiece. First time the Blackhawks have lost in the postseason because they swept the Calgary Flames. So first loss in the postseason for the Blackhawks. Now they go to Chicago for Game 3.
Before Game 2 was that Belfour was scratched with food poisoning. Backup Jeff Hackett stood in the path of an oncoming Avalanche.
Sakic is on an 8-game tear. Heads up, heads up! Look out, clean across off. Wide open! Unbelievable save by Waugh. Oh my! Rebound score! Chicago has to feel a bit shell-shocked.
4 first-period goals buried the Hawks, and the Avalanche momentum continued.
For 5-0 in the postseason with a goals against average of 1.52, Chicago gives them a lead to work with. First period on the power play. Daze to Jeremy Roenick. He tips it back for Suter, and he fires one through a crowd and under Patrick Waugh. 1-0 Chicago at home. The Avalanche, though, working on Belfour. Valerie Kaminsky feeding Joe Sakic in the slot. Quick shot, but Belfour across to make the stop. Second period, Colorado finally gets on the board. Watch the great effort by Forsberg. Picks up the puck, fights off Murray Craven, and is able to tuck it up on the top shelf. Those are some good wrists, and we're tied at 1. Avalanche pouring it on later. Keane nails Jim Cummins. They cough it up, and Mike Ricci following up on a scramble. Stuffs the puck in. A big goal for Ricci. Only had 6 all year. 2-1 Colorado. Then on the power play, Lemieux right to Joe Sakic. Kind bounce and a zip of a wrist shot in the top corner. 3-1 Avalanche. Late in the second, the Hawks get one back though. Murphy will walk in. Bad angle. I'm thinking Patrick Waugh was thinking pass here because well, maybe he couldn't see anything. Look where Craven is. Anyway, count the goal for Murphy, and Waugh arguing about where Craven was standing. 3-2 Colorado after 2. Third period, the Hawks are flying. Daze sends in JR. Roenick sells the backhand, goes to the forehand. Beautiful deke. Tied at 3. The Hawks suffer quite a blow in the third, though. Tony Amonte is going to twist a knee here after the hit from Adam Foote, and he goes down in a lot of pain. Ouch. That one's tough to watch. They take him off to the room, and more on him later. This one goes to overtime, but less than a minute in. Krivokrasov with a shot after Wolanin coughed up the puck, and it goes off a stick. Stefan Yell's stick, to be exact, and goes over the shoulder of Patrick Waugh and in, and the Hawks win again in overtime. 4-3 the final score. They take the series lead. Eddie Belfour 18 saves. He is 6-0 in postseason now. Eric Daze, 2 assists for the Hawks. Joe Sakic notches his league-leading 10th goal of the playoffs, but it is Chicago with the lead. Game 4 will go Wednesday back at the United Center. Amonte
to Game 3.
Oh, mercy, what a move! Peter Forsberg. Setting rebound! And Waugh robbed Krivokrasov!
Colorado's seemingly safe 2-goal lead was about to unravel due to a costly turnover late in the second period.
Good by Murphy. Murphy's got a screen. Shot. Score! Huge goal for Chicago!
Murphy's bullseye ignited the Hawks, setting the stage for Jeremy Roenick in the third period.
By Mike Keane and scored the tying goal, and that's why we're going to OT.
Wolanin going by Daze, got knocked down. Daze got it onside. Daze, Krivokrasov for the game winner. He scores!
This was a deflected knuckleball that completely fooled Patrick Waugh.
The Blackhawks have taken a 4-3 victory and a 2-1 lead.
Another
important, particularly in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Mark Crawford has criticized Chris Simon in the playoffs for being too offensive-minded and not coming to the defense of his teammates. Joe Sakic gets drilled by Bob Probert, and look who is there. Chris Simon, not only is he there, but he is laying a beating on Bob Probert. That is very significant. You don't see that very often, very early, especially in this series. Chris Simon really giving it to Proby there. Just 8 total shots. Murray Craven throws his body in front of the shot from Sakic, deflects it wide. Then Sakic snaps one. Boy, he is playing superb hockey right now. Suter with a giveaway, 1-0 for the Avalanche. Suter makes up for the gap here, gets behind the defense, trickles through the pad to Patrick Waugh. The Hawks have tied it at 1, but the Avalanche keep running at the Hawks. Forsberg, full speed, nails Steve Smith. Then watch the great feed of Sandis Olsson right there, but Belfour sticks the glove out. 17 saves for Eddie in the second period. Colorado frustrating the Hawks in the third period. Belfour gives the shot to Mike Ricci right there, gets the roughing penalty. Avalanche take advantage on the power play. Sakic's point shot is stopped. Kaminsky bangs in the rebound. Nobody cleared him out. 2-1 for Colorado. If Chelios were on the ice, that would not have happened. Chicago comes right back. Carney's point shot redirected by Jeff Shantz. Counted 2 into overtime for the third time in this series. Look who's testing at the groin before the overtime. Chelios tried it, wouldn't go. That would have been wonderful to have him back. Chicago gets a huge chance. Roenick on the breakaway, falls down from behind. You're thinking penalty shot. You're thinking at the very least penalty. Look at Roenick. What? No call. Van Hellemond trying to explain it to him. Brutal on the part of Andy Van Hellemond. Meanwhile, the Colorado Avalanche have opportunities here. Ed Belfour, incredible. 51 saves through 5 periods. For the second time in these playoffs, Chicago goes into triple OT. There will be no quadruple OT. Less than 5 minutes in, Gusarov to Joe Sakic. What a playoffs for Sakic. He's been good for many years. Right now, he is better than good. He is great. He is leading the Colorado Avalanche, and he has given them their most important victory, likely, maybe ever. 3-2, Colorado over Chicago. Sakic now with 12 goals to lead the playoff scorers. 10 of the Hawks' last 17 playoff games have gone to overtime. They're 3-1 this year, ended by Joe Sakic, and he...
Games, Colorado and Chicago would have their nerves tested in overtime. Once again, it was Waugh versus Roenick. Patrick Waugh had stared down defeat, and as they battled into triple overtime, Joe Sakic looked to end the marathon. Game 4 was gone, but not forgotten. A controversy arose over Roenick's breakaway in overtime.
Yeah, it should have been a penalty shot. There's no doubt about it. I like Patrick's quote that he would have stopped me. I just want to know where he was in Game 3.
I can't really hear what Jeremy says because I got my 2 Stanley Cup rings plugged in my ear.
Sent his way. It's good to see that my family decided to show up for this one. Dave Hannon for Colorado won the faceoff first period. Chris Simon beats Belfour. Wrist shot first of the playoffs. Colorado's got the 1-0 lead. In the second, Patrick Waugh. 15 saves, stopped Bob Probert. And when Probert couldn't make this one count, he figured he'd at least go ahead and get on a good right hand every now and then, right? Better keep pacing, Craig, because this one's going to be tough. For Colorado, Valerie Kamensky. Puck, center ice, skates by 2 Chicago defensemen and scores backhand. His 6th of the postseason and his 3rd of the series. Rock's got a 2-0 lead, 4-on-4. Scott Young crossed the blue line, beats Belfour, the Rister, 2nd of the postseason, 1st of the series. 2 minutes after Jeremy Roenick ruined Waugh's shutout bid, Valerie Kamensky. His 2nd of the game to regain Colorado's 3-goal lead. Waugh made 22 saves to record his 77th career playoff win, but couldn't quite knock down the shutout. Colorado leads the series 3-2. Game 6, Monday.
Game 5 had more build-up than a championship fight, and Colorado delivered the early knockout.
Took over.
Back on the line to Suter. The shot to the goal. And Waugh was there again.
They head to Chicago ahead in the series. 3 games to...
And he was probably not his rough and tumble self with a groin muscle hard to heal, but he was out there. And the Avalanche showed just how important having an agile defenseman can be. Look at Ozolinsh wheeling in, firing across, and eventually Kamensky gets a stick on it. He was the hero of Game 5, and he puts Colorado up in this one early. But the Hawks come back. Denny Savard manages to keep the puck in. May have been offside, but he lets it fly, hits a stick, and goes in. Chicago tied it at 1. Mark Crawford livid. That was right in front of his bench, and he said that was offside. Well, look at it again. Did Denny Savard keep this in, or did it squeak out over the line? Very close, but they allow the goal. Eddie Belfour sharp in goal on this night. Watch the shot from Ozolinsh go off Belfour's shoulder. Lands in the crease, over the shoulder, trickling in the crease. Somehow it stays out, and they clear it away. Just before the end of the period, Roenick shot from the top of the circle, hits a couple of people, including a skate in front. Bernie Nichols gets the goal. The Hawks lead it 2-1. At the end of the period, Jeff Shantz shoves down Adam Foote. Bad move. He gets a penalty for that. Avalanche take advantage in the power play. Scott Young to Joe Sakic. He buries number 13 in the playoffs. It's tied at 2 in the 3rd. And the Avalanche don't let up. Claude Lemieux feeds Kamensky, and he makes a great move, selling the forehand, sliding across the crease and tucking it in on Belfour. 3-2 Avalanche. Stayed like that into the late going. The Hawks call a timeout with a minute and a half to go, and they try to regroup. And did they ever? A minute left in the 3rd. Roenick will eventually get the puck on this side, center it. Joe Murphy banks it in with a minute to go, and we are going to OT once again. The crowd in Chicago fired up. Early in the extra frame, Avalanche pressing in. 3-on-1. Sylvain Lefebvre, Sakic, but Belfour there to deny him. No scoring in the first OT period. They go to a second. Avalanche cycling the puck in deep. Kamensky controls. Finds Ozolinsh out front, and he whacks at it until it goes in. Gary Suter couldn't fight him off. The second one went in. The Avalanche win 4-3 the final. Tough loss for Eddie Belfour and the 2 Warriors who had words during this series. JR and Patrick Waugh say their goodbyes and their good lucks. Colorado wins 4-3, puts Chicago out. 4 of the 6 games in the series went to OT, including this one, and the OT hero was Sandis Ozolinsh.
Colorado stood ready to close out the Hawks in Game 6, leading by a goal in the final minutes of regulation. In overtime, Chicago's emotion was matched only by their goaltending, as Belfour stonewalled the Avalanche.
Unbelievable save on Mike Keane. And here's the 2-on-1. Sakic and Ricci. 3-on-1. Right into the famous Sakic. The shot. Oh, Belfour saved the day again. I don't believe it.
When the game went to double overtime, a new hero emerged for Colorado, Sandis Ozolinsh.